Well, we're live,
We're live again!
hopefully.
All right. First of all, Kawa, thank you so much for letting us know what was up. We had some... Guys, it feels like we never go without a problem sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like there's something. There's always something every week. God damn it.
And we hear you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kawa. That means I got to do this awesome introduction all over again.
I wish you would.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys two things, all right? Rite of Flame, never coming off the ban list. Lithiform Engine, probably going on the ban list.
And you can thank Kawa for that.
Guys, welcome to episode 40. Episode 40 of the Snapcast podcast with your hosts, Brad O'Brien and Mike Cooley. This is a Magic the Gathering podcast where we talk about magic and magic-related things. So if you're a competitive Magic player with a casual interest in finance, you found the right place. And thank you so much. Do us a favor. Would you hit that subscribe button and help get us in that YouTube algorithm? I personally might not be the smartest person out there, but I'd like to think of the camaraderie that I have with Brad being something special.
I agree.
So help us out. Get us out there.
Tell
your friends.
Rub little circles around that like button, and then
Absolutely,
makes
guys.
everybody happy.
Welcome. We've got some stuff to talk about this week. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening. This set hasn't officially really even dropped yet. Like, this is...
I got to watch some of the early access streamer stuff that started yesterday. These cards are powerful. These decks are powerful. Who knew that Lotus Cobra giving you free mana to play Omnath, who is going to give you free mana into lands that do ridiculously broken things.
Wizards is really listening to their players. They just want to play their spells, and they don't want to pay mana to play them. They just want to... Oh, man.
Or they want to play decks that don't even have lands.
Yeah, exactly. And we got to talk about this. So, Kawa, great patron of the stream over here, has brought some crazy stuff to our attention. And it surrounds a busted card named Lithiform Engine. Check this out. If you guys haven't seen this, it's funny because we were talking about this last week. We were talking about our top 10 list of cards, right? And the funny thing is that Lithiform Engine, we kind of passed it off. We were like, yeah, we don't really need to talk about this because it's so good. Everybody knows that it's good.
Yeah, like everybody knows that this is good, so we don't have to talk about it.
But now we got to talk about it.
It's so good that we need to talk about it.
It deserved its own shout out, like individually here. Like, this card is so good. And I feel like Wizards is really trying to print a card that has the word engine on it that's just busted enough. But I don't think they've quite nailed it yet. This might be over the top, man.
This might be better than, well, I can't say it's better than Paradox Engine.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, not having to pay mana for untapping all of your permanents is pretty insane with Paradox Engine. But even, like, the fact that some of these abilities are just underpriced, you know what I mean, is just so, I mean, just about
these
all
abilities?
of them. Yeah, oh my God, look at this card. Look at this card. So good. It's so good.
Lithiform Engine, so we did talk about it last week, but I'll read it off, especially for those that listen to the podcast, is a 4-mana legendary artifact. It has 3 activated abilities. One costs 2 mana and tap. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Busted.
So that there's another Strionic Resonator. What's the other?
Yeah, Strionic Resonator. It's an artifact for 2, and it has literally the same ability.
With the same cost?
Yeah, and that card, like, yeah, same cost, 2 mana, tap it, copy target activated or triggered ability, and that card, like, was pretty popular in Commander, which caused its price to shoot up. So, like, you can already count on this being, like, a Commander staple right here.
Yeah.
But then it just has these other 2 nasty abilities about it that really just open up the floodgates for busted stuff to happen. Like, I mean, anything from...
Well, so hold on. Let's go through these. So we talked about the first one, 2 mana, Strionic Resonator.
Yep.
3 mana, tap, Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. What's Dualcaster Mage?
Well, I mean, it's basically twin cast. I mean, 3 mana twin cast right here is what it is.
Does twin cast cost 3?
No, it costs 2. But the caster mage is flash, but it costs 2 red. Yeah. So, but still, it's 3 mana. It's a colorless.
Colorless 3 mana.
Yeah.
Twin cast or dual caster mage.
Right. The most important thing here is that it's not color restrictive.
No.
Like, it's crossing the color wheel here. Like,
well, and I just really want to sort of drive home to people that these are played effects in colored spells, like you're saying, like in more restricted. These are played.
And here's the thing: Dualcaster Mage itself has led to infinite combos in Historic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just this ability alone has led to infinite combos in Historic, right? That's just one ability of this card.
So if your instant or sorcery spell that you're copying has an untap ability,
it happens to be pretty nasty. But even if it doesn't, even if you're valuing this card, like, let's just start there. Even if you're just valuing this card, like, okay, I'm just going to use it to not abuse it, but to use it for what it was truly meant to do, which is everything. Like, all of these abilities, think about it. All of these abilities have either led to cards that are very high in value or led to infinite combos, right? This is just a big enabler right here. Like, so the Dualcaster Mage has led to, at 3 mana, right, has led to some infinite combos in Historic. And the Splinter Twin at 4 mana has led to some pretty nasty infinite combos, as you guys know, right? And that's the third ability of this. Like, this has all of these busted abilities right in one card. Like, the interesting thing here is that Wizards has chosen to target the stack. Like, everything has to be on the stack.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I'm not sure if there was some, method behind the madness there. They try to control it, but...
Yeah, it's on the stack, right? So when you were talking about... Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Splinter Twin, that can only copy a permanent that's in play, right? So this copies a permanent only when it's on the stack. So this already has to be... Lithiform Engine in Standard Adventures Fae of Wishes sideboard is stupid.
Yeah,
no doubt.
It's so stupid.
Especially when you've got Lucky Clover out and you're going to go out and you're going to get Lithiform Engine and a removal spell, or Lithiform Engine and a counter spell to back it up.
Right. And I feel like this is an appropriate point to call out one of the busted things that Kawa actually pointed out to us here is just like cards that you wouldn't even think of. This just creates infinite combos with.
Lay it on me.
So here it is, man. Here it is. Granted, I'm usually not a big fan of like 3+ card combos.
That's gross.
Oh yeah, exactly. Stupid.
Continue. 3+ card combos. I'm listening.
It's stupid. But like, so I'm usually not a fan of 3-card combos, like infinite combos. I think there's too much investment that goes along with that. And if you're talking about more cards, it gets even more muddy. But at the same time, like, the fact that this can do this in just about any format that you insert this in, it just opens up the door for infinite combos. So here it is in Standard if you wanted an infinite combo with this card, right? Kawa pointed this out, so credit to him. So you have the good old Mana Echoes, which is a pretty sweet card in and of itself, right? Sort of reminiscent of Coat of Arms, right? Which bumps up your whole team for however many people you have on that team, right? It gives you a bonus for however much creatures of the same type that you have. So Mana Echoes will actually flash to this over here, and I'll stop being so esoteric about this. Echoes.
Let's look at it in German, because for some reason Scryfall wants to show it to me in German.
Oh, sweet. All right, I get to explain this to you guys. So Mana Echoes is a
recently
4-drop...
reprinted.
Recently reprinted. Is a mana... it's a 4-mana enchantment. So 2 red, 2 colorless. And it says, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool for each creature you control that shares a creature type with it. So every time, if you have like a tribal deck, every time one of those creatures enters the battlefield, you get, bam, like a ton of mana or however much mana you have. At least 1 mana every time that a creature enters the battlefield, right?
Yeah.
Because it says for each creature you control that shares a creature type with it. So it counts itself. So bam, there you go. Like, instantly get 1 mana. If you have 2 creatures, you get 2 mana, of that same type. So it keeps bumping up like that. And it's just a nice bonus, dude. Very, very, very nice mana bonus. But then also, we have the good old hall monitor in standard right now.
Corridor monitor.
The hall monitor.
Corridor monitor.
The annoying kid in high school. The hall monitor. Corridor monitor is what it's called.
Because I can't spell corridor.
I was going to say, I'm so happy that you actually just typed that out and that the whole internet could see.
Listen.
Corridor, a.k.a. the hall monitor. So this guy, 2-drop artifact creature. He's a construct, right? Whenever he enters the battlefield, untap target artifact you control. So you guys can probably see where I'm going with this, right? This is, if you have, enough constructs on the battlefield, which isn't hard with artifacts. A lot of them are constructs, like, your Memnites, your Steel Overseer, your Walking Ballista, your, what's the other one? Hangerback Walker. All of these are constructs. Like, all of the most vicious artifacts are constructs. But let's keep it to standard, right? Even if you have,
Mana Echoes isn't in standard.
Oh, I'm sorry. It isn't?
No.
Oh, well. Regardless, that gets even better because now modern, right? Like, you have all of these nasty constructs that are out there and probably infinite more ways of things that come into the battlefield and untap something. Like, that's exactly what you want. So you cast this guy, and while he's on the stack, you use your Lithiform engine to copy it.
Okay.
And now if you have this mana echoes on the board, you just keep getting mana. And every time that Corridor Monitor or something else that untaps a permanent comes into play, you just copy it. You know what I mean? So you copy it, the copy comes into play, untaps, while the other one is still on the stack. You get your mana, tap it again, copy what's on the stack, and keep doing it. So you just get infinite dudes, right? And if you think about it, what's the 1/1 haster that replenishes your hand that was recently in standard? Bomat Courier.
Oh, yeah.
Is he a construct? I'm just curious.
Let's take a look. Artifact creature construct? I bet he is.
Oh, man.
Bomat Courier.
Because he's a construct too. So if you got this guy, you can just go off right there. Like, and it's in red. It's right in the same colors as, the mana echoes. And it's got haste, which is most important too. Like, so copies of this guy, like, would come out with haste. So you could really stack this in a weird way. You know what I mean? Where, like, if you can somehow copy your Bomat Courier, you could do it right then. But you don't have to. Like, you don't have to. You could just make a ton of dudes, and you're going to do this every turn. It isn't like
3 mana and you get a second Bomat Courier.
Right. But it's like, you're not, it's like, even if you stop the combo there, you still have a pretty devastating threat on the board to deal with. That's just going to keep coming. Like, it isn't like you stopped the entire thing by stopping one card of this.
No.
Like, even if you get creative, you're like, yeah, all right, well, I'm going to counter your spell when you go to copy it or something. Like, who cares?
That's it. If your deck is based on 4 Lithiform Engine and all cards that exploit the value of Lithiform Engine, it doesn't matter what somebody does to one piece of your combo.
Right.
That's you're literally doubling the value of every card in your deck.
Right.
So if you can resolve Lithiform Engine, the rest of the time, anything that you put on the stack, even if your opponent counters it, you're getting value.
And it puts your opponent in a weird spot too, because, like, you always have to deal with the Lithiform Engine, and, like, it makes it for really shitty plays. And here's why. You remember when Splinter Twin was a thing, right? Like, Splinter Twin was a thing in Modern. You could flash in your Pestermite, tap down their land. But even if they could deal with it, they would always deal with the Pestermite, the creature, the thing that's getting copied. They would deal with it. The terrible situation that this puts you into is you can no longer just deal with the thing that's being copied. You have to deal with the engine itself.
Yep.
And, like, that makes for some odd plays.
Yeah, and if you have that sort of Splinter Twin-esque deck that's slightly controlling, and everything's value combos, then yeah, you can counter this, and the next turn I'm going to go off with these other 2 cards that interact anyway.
Yeah. And if you think about the example we were just talking about, think of all of the checkpoints where you can pass priority too. Like that's something that we hadn't really talked about, but like, you know, think about Legacy for a second, where when you crack your Lion's Eye Diamond while you have an Infernal Tutor on the stack, it's your most vulnerable point. You're like, shit, I really hope my opponent doesn't now counter Infernal Tutor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think of all the checkpoints you have with this, where you're like, okay, I'm going to pass priority and see if you do anything. They're endless with Lithiform Engine. Like, it's almost instant safety if you think about it on that level. So, like, your guy enters the battlefield and a trigger goes on the stack. Like, enter the battlefield, trigger on the stack, target. Are you going to do anything about it? No? Okay. Untap. Now, I'm going to do this again. Like, you know what I mean? Now I'm going to target this. Are you going to do anything about it? If you are, you're not dealing with my engine. Or if you are, I'm going to get 2 copies of this. I don't care. I've already got my value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're going to get value at just about every checkpoint of this.
Well, and like we said last week, when we sort of did our top 10 last week, we were looking for cards that are going to be under the radar. Lithiform Engine is not under the radar.
Very appropriately priced right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for it to come down. I don't think it's going to be $26, $27 in a month from now, but I'd be surprised if it got less than 15.
Oh, for sure. I mean, think about Paradox Engine when that was out. Like, what did that go down to? And it was not really used in Standard.
Yeah.
People just they recognized the value in Commander right away. And it kind of stayed expensive for all of Standard because everyone just knew, like, yep, all right, well, I got to run this in Commander. It's pretty nasty. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Yeah, so if you look at...
We're going to bring up Paradox Engine here on Echo MTG and look at the price trend over its lifetime.
Yep. And, like, look at that. It just kind of stayed. Like, so what was its price point when it came out? It's somewhere around, it kind of went up to $30 and then it stayed.
In foil.
Yep.
So the foil peaked at almost $30, but really it was about 15.
Yep. So foils are about 15. Yeah, I feel like that is, okay. That's when people started noticing right there that like this is good in Commander, and which again people are already noticing that, about Lithiform Engine, like, and then it just stayed at between $12 and $15, like all the time that it was in Standard, and nobody used it. It wasn't in any decks in Standard.
See, I think that the thing that's different now, and this is sort of a meta conversation, not game meta, but overarching over our hobby here. It used to be, even 2 years ago, that people that had even the most casual interest in MTG Finance knew that EDH was a driver of card values, but they still thought, I got plenty of time to get this.
Yeah.
I feel like now, especially sort of post-pandemic, even though we're not really post-pandemic,
right,
the cards that have held value and driven value this whole time are cards that are EDH playable. I think people are looking at these now, and they're not going to drop the way that they did.
No. And I mean, and you see this now. This is like a $5 card, and that is because you'll see that big drop in its price there
at the banning.
Yeah, if you flash back to that real quick, you'll see a drop in its price at the banning in Commander. Yeah. Like that literally is single-handedly. You can see it here, like evidence, proof, all you need right here. Got banned in Commander, price went to shit.
Yeah,
like Commander dictates the price of cards, just how it is. So the fact that people are recognizing already that Lithiform Engine is like not only a decent replacement value-wise for Paradox Engine, but is an enabler for so much shit. Keep an eye on this.
Yeah, I mean, what EDH deck do you have that isn't playing spells, permanents, or activated abilities?
If Agadeem's Awakening doesn't get banned, it will be super expensive really soon. Oh, we got to look this up. What is this?
Are you talking about in Modern, Standard? So Agadeem's Awakening is the black legendary, the black mythic tap land. The back of it is, well, let's just bring it up.
Oh, yeah. And Kawa, I love where you're going with this, too, because we have some stuff to talk about in Modern. Like, so much stuff is happening right now. So, Agadeem's Awakening. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different mana cost, X or less. Oh, my God.
So, what kind of combos can you put in your yard that you can get out? And the thing is, this is also a land. So, if we flip the card over... How do we do that? Turnover. It is.
Oh my God! So it can come in untapped too.
Yep.
Get out of town.
The
dude.
deck list. What deck list?
Oh man. Yeah, this is so good.
You will roll your eyes. So what am I doing? Am I just searching for an Agadeem deck list for Modern?
Wait. If he's talking about what we think he's talking about over here, if you're talking about what we're about to get to. Oh, Cycle Storm in Modern. Oh, wow. Is this the one you're talking about? Cycle Storm? I mean, if it's showing up in a Storm deck, it's got to be busted, right? Like, it's got to be busted.
Boop, boop, boop.
There we go. Oh, man. Cycle Storm. So...
I don't know if this is the one he's talking about.
Nope.
That's Crypt of Agadeem.
Yeah. That's
no. See, that's a different
not the
one.
one. Yeah. Well, either way, dude. So I feel like he's going in this direction. So we should talk about this, all right? Because one of the things I said, start of the podcast, I probably said it 2 or 3 times with the amount of technical difficulties we had. But a deck that isn't going anywhere in Legacy and probably will make a huge resurgence in Modern.
Yeah, this is a Modern list that we have up on the screen.
Yeah, is these Goblin Char Belcher decks. These Goblin Char Belcher decks that now you have these flip lands that are also spells. So the cards where you have the spell sides, such as the Agadeem card that we were just looking at, the land has a spell that's associated with it. The card counts as a spell wherever it's
at.
at.
The front face of the card is the spell on these cards. It's indicated by one triangle pointed up in the top left of the card. That's the front face of the card. That's how that card is seen anytime that it's in your deck. It actually gets a little weird with effects like
Thoughtseize.
Well, Thoughtseize, they can take a land. Yeah, they can take this out of your hand. But if you have Crucible of Worlds, you can actually play this out of your yard as a land, even though it's the backside.
You're freaking kidding me.
Play the land.
Well, my mind just exploded. Are you shitting me? That's really how that works?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a weird rules interaction.
Get your Crucibles. Holy shit. That's really how that works?
Yeah.
You can play these two-faced cards from your yard with Crucible.
Right. So if you
busted.
If you mill them into your yard, you can do that. Let's see. So this is the Agadeem Awakening list that Kawa is talking about. Okay. So this is sort of a dredge thing.
Okay, there we go. So
turn to win.
All right, so I love Dredge, first of all, but it's only running 2 Narcomoebas. How good is this Dredge if it's only running 2 Narcomoebas?
What is this card? Oh, look, another flip land.
Palaka Predation. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a card from it with converted may cost 3 great. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, then it's just a flip land, yep.
Flip land, flip land, flip land, flip land. Pyretic Ritual Metamorphosis. Metamorphose Desperate Ritual. Okay,
Rite of Flame, never coming off the banned list. Never coming off the banned list with these flip lands. Never. Look at all these mana, what do you call them? Like mana spells, quick mana spells that you have over here.
The Wild Canter and the Simian Spirit Guide. Now, hold on, Kawa. You're saying You can play it off the top of your library with Oracle of Moldiah. I don't see Oracle of Moldiah in here.
Oh my God! So it works like that too.
But with Oracle of Moldiah, you can play the spell half, or you can play the land.
You can
from
play
the top.
both. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it works the same as Crucible. Is what he's saying is just illustrating the point that like, whereas you can play it with Crucible, you can also play it with Oracle of Moldiah. So like, whereas the card is a land, you can play either side of it. Oh my God, that's so stupid, dude.
Yikes.
That is so scary.
I got to go back to Char Belcher.
Yep. So let's check this out. So first of all, in case you guys were wondering about Goblin Char Belcher, we're going to bring that up real quick. In case anyone's not familiar, Goblin Char Belcher has been the boogeyman in Legacy. Like, I don't know anybody who goes to a Legacy tournament and is like, I want to play against Char Belcher today.
No.
Like, I hope I see a ton of Char Belcher decks. No one. Like, even if you're a heavy counter deck with Force of Wills and Force of Negations, it's like you better have them. Because if you don't, you're dead. And then even if you do, you better close the game out pretty damn quick, or I'm going to do it again. Like, Char Belcher decks in Legacy have been the boogeyman. Like, so these decks in Legacy are notorious for going off on turn one. Because here's the kill card. The kill card, Goblin Char Belcher, 4 mana artifact. And then you pay 3 mana and tap it. And this is how it reads. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a land card. Goblin Char Belcher deals damage equal to the number of non-land cards revealed this way to target creature or player, in most cases. If the revealed land card was a mountain, it deals double that damage. So in these Char Belcher decks, they just don't put any land, or they put minimal land in their deck.
Yeah.
Right? The less land, the less cards that you have that count as lands, the better.
So now let's go back to the deck list and see how many lands we're playing. Huh. I don't see a section on here for lands.
I don't see any lands, right? It's all of these flip cards that you can have enter as lands, but they don't count as lands.
So 4 Spike Field Hazard. Come on.
By the
Deals
way, we
one
love
dam-
you, Tech 4. You do what you do, you, my friend. You do you.
While naked and taking a shower. I'm kind of impressed.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I would have been more impressed if you said while fully dressed and taking a shower with a shower beer and a photo, but
Right.
that's for another day. So Spike Field Hazard is one of these flip cards. Deals 1 damage to any target. If a permanent was dealt damage this way and it would die, exile it instead. It's a 1 mana red instant.
what? And it's an uncommon. God, this card is so good.
If you need a land, it's a tapped red source.
Oh my God, this card is so good.
So on turn 1, you can play this tapped. On turn 2, exile 2 Simian Spirit Guides, whatever, then start Desperate Ritualing,
Yeah.
go off. Shatter Skull Smashing. Here's another one. This is on the front face, X red red, deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, it doesn't friggin' matter because Char Belcher is never going to cast this as a spell.
Right.
Because you're never going to actually have enough lands.
But it's
in play.
It's a good backup strategy. Like, look at this.
It just takes care of creatures and planeswalkers. If it went to face, I'd be excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but like, it's a backup strategy where, like, if you've, oh man, I'm getting controlled, and my controllee opponent over here has established a board. Like, okay. Like, let's try to wreck your board here. Like, God, that's so good, man. Like,
Request a photo, get a photo. Coming to a Facebook message. I'm scared, you guys.
Oh, Jesus.
I am scared.
Jesus.
What's another Balagid Recovery? So this is a green tapped land.
Oh my God.
That is also a regrowth.
So it's also a regrowth, right? And it could be a land. So if they counter your Goblin Char Belcher in this deck, you can efficiently use your lands to get it back. The point of what we're saying is Goblin Char Belcher is going to make a comeback. Like, these new, what do you call them? Like flip lands or whatever, are so busted. They're so busted in so many ways. So what we need to do, if you're looking to make good investments, right? Like if you're looking to scoop up some cards, scoop up the ones that contain the words play and land. I shit you not. Like, you may play land. That's literally that's all you need right there.
Well,
like get that and get the cards that look for, that care about that land type, because you get to choose. You get to choose with these cards, like with Goblin, Char, Belcher. The fact that you can just mull over these cards and they're not lands, but then when you need them to be, they are lands. I'm going to be completely honest in saying I don't fully understand that. But the fact that it works that way is super busted. Like, this opens up so many doors in Magic the Gathering and gives us an opportunity to look for cards, much like what we're talking about. So, these cards like Crucible of Worlds or the creature that does the same thing,
Ramanap Excavator.
Yep. That
Vastly
guy.
underpriced.
Yep, absolutely, dude. Like cards like that, cards like Goblin, Char, Belcher. Keep an eye on these cards. And dare I say, I hate to snap to this segment right now, but snap these up, man.
Well, what are we snapping up?
Snap up Crucible of Worlds, Ramanap
So Crucible is
Excavator.
on the way up. So, I mean, I believe me, I love the card, but that ship may have sailed.
Well, what did it go up to? Because it just got reprinted. So even still, like if it went up a little bit, okay, great. Like people are recognizing the same thing that we talked about here.
Well, right. So I guess it depends on your budget, right? If we look at the Core Set 2020 Crucible, it has moved.
Yep.
So from a low here of $20 for a non-foil, the non-foils now are over 30, 35.
Yeah. But I mean, think about this.
Agadeem's Awakening is around $60. Well,
wow.
I'll tell you, pre-order prices, man, forget it. Who needs these on day one? I will get them a week later.
Yeah.
That card will. I mean, they are mythics.
Right. But I can almost guarantee you a card like that's going to be far below $60. Even though if it's, it has some value in these eternal formats. Like, is that equal to Euro? No. You know what I mean? Like it's just not even on the same value plane as Euro.
I love this. Looking at additional printed versions of Crucible of Worlds, we got I'm guessing this is the Judge. We have 10th edition. Is that the promo? That's the original. They're all moving. I forgot that they had an invention. Actually, the invention seems pretty reasonable compared to some of the other inventions.
Yeah.
Is that moving right now? Yeah, look at that.
I mean, all versions of this are going to move. Like, what is it? High tide raises all ships right here. This is, I think there's a lot of speculation on this card and cards like it.
I mean, it's just anything that says like, this is why I laughed when you're like, cards that say play lands. Well, buy reserved list cards, kids. You're going to do great.
I mean, but it's true though. Like there could be, and I put it that way, like sort of comically, but also for a reason. Because if you look at how much these cards like Crucible of Worlds are going up, I can imagine Oracle of Moldiah or, even Goblin Char Belcher really hasn't hit yet, but like get that one. You know what I mean? The cards that care about these land types, some people aren't focusing on these. They might not be familiar with some of the cards that you are, from your commander deck or your casual play or competitive play that use those keywords and that talk about that. So, I mean, keep an eye on that because I seriously feel like that's going to be a thing. I mean, with the introduction of these new lands, they're going to have to do something, man. Like, if they keep it like this, man, all of these cards that we're talking about are just going to rise in price because it really changes Magic in general, having these flip lands that count basically as the best case scenario for you in just about every situation except Thoughtseize. Like, it's really good, man.
I wish you could get them out of your deck with land searching.
Yep.
But that's probably the edge of busted. I mean, that's probably a bridge too far. Yeah.
But I mean, still, like, there's just so many good things about these cards, and here's the kicker: is they change Magic. Like, they change the traditional ways people think about playing these cards, and that's what can lead to big spikes in card prices.
Yep. Well, I mean, they can certainly bring underplayed. I think I have played against Char Belcher twice in the entire time that I've played Modern. I expect I will see it again soon.
Oh, for damn sure, dude. I think we're going to see a lot more Goblin Char Belcher decks in Modern. But even if you want to take it to Legacy, right? Like, what decks are big in Legacy right now? Or what deck has always been big and it has never really gone away, but it just happens to be big right now too, is TES, the Epic Storm. Like, Storm decks are good again. And now this comes out, like, so Char Belcher decks probably going to be a thing again. They're even more efficient.
You're so smooth,
now.
Mike. I'm so proud of you.
You know, thanks.
You think I brought up some legacy lists, but before we get to that, I'm going to take that awesome segue that you gave me, and I'm going to stuff it in the trash.
All right, cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. The trash is my home. Call me Oscar the Grouch.
I don't. Before we get into some legacy and modern deck lists that have recently performed, I do want to talk about historic, because we sort of went out on a limb maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago talking about historic being the next legacy, like that it's going to take over online non-rotating play.
Yeah. I think that's
Arena's a shitload more fun to play than MTGO.
And also a lot more available than MTGO is, because you have to make some monetary investment to get into MTGO or even Tabletop Magic, dude. You can you can download Magic Arena and just start playing.
And grind. You did the free grind, baby.
That's right. Oh, I've never paid a damn dollar on Magic Arena.
Now, if you actually want to play Vintage and Legacy Magic, that's cheap on Moto. It's way cheaper than paper. It's cheaper than a modern deck, because still not that many, even when the cards are cheap, not that many people are into it. And the people that are want to show you their legacy deck.
Yeah.
Like, they want to play in paper.
Right.
But when you start putting some of these crazy good legacy staple cards on Arena, people want to play. And WotC just had their most recent Pro Tour on Arena. The Players Tour, whatever, Mythic Invitational. I mean, it's the highest level tournament that WotC's done since the goddamn pandemic started, basically.
Yeah. And your boy, Seth Manfield,
took it down,
dude. This guy is like pretty big on, everything. He's always been a really good player, but he streams on Twitch. He just has such a big following. So, dude, good on Seth Manfield. This is going to be so good for his stream.
Look at this top 8. Seth Manfield, Gabe Nassif, Luis Salvato, Grigoris Kowalski, David Steinberg, who apparently is famous for playing another game that I won't talk about, Luis Scott Vargas, Ken Yukihiro, and Matt Nass. That's a freaking scary top 8, dude.
Dude, it really is. So, can I just say this? Side point has probably nothing to do with the direction you were going to go, but can I just say this? If you think way back in the day to the bad rep that pro players had, right? Like the bad rep of like, oh, pro players are cheaters or whatnot. Or, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. Say that now, mofos.
You can't,
Say it now. Like, these pro players are, Seth Manfield, Luis Scott Vargas, Luis Salvato. These guys are pro players because they're friggin' good at the game.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. These are the guys to pay attention to right here. Like, this is insane. This top 8 is nasty. And these players played on a, on
digitally controlled client.
Controlled client. Exactly.
There's no palming cards. There's no getting your opponent when they're looking the other way. There's no missing a trigger that's a favorable trigger or unfavorable trigger.
We're in a whole new age of pros right here. Like, these guys are nasty, next level thinkers. And if you've ever watched Seth Manfield stream, you can just tell. Like, this guy don't give no Fs. He's just like, all right, yep.
I'm a huge Luis Scott Vargas fan. I felt bad for him. He got bad matchup after bad matchup, I felt like. And some bad draws. And that's the other thing, is when you're watching people play on Arena, you're just like, yeah, that's a bad draw. Dude did not get his 4th land, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you just know that it is what it is. And it's a bummer feeling. But Luis Scott Vargas is like, I can smell that he had mushrooms on his pizza last night, so I'm going to play around that he has Phyrexian Tower in his hand.
And I'm like, next level shit, man. It's that next level shit. That's really what it is. I mean, you know, I get lucky and can do it sometimes. Like if I'm playing against you, I'm just like, I know that look on Brad's face. I know that look on Brad's face. He's scared of a walking ballista right now. I'm gonna play this.
Yeah, but to be fair, I'm always gonna be scared of a walking ballista. I don't have any way to play around a walking ballista.
Right, but like these guys do that for a living. Like read their opponents digitally.
Yeah.
Like digitally, okay, I got to play around this. He probably has this. Like this is the worst case scenario. Make shit tons of calculations in their head and then just like jam the best play possible.
I mean, Luis Scott Vargas has been co-host of Limited Resources, which is exclusively a limited podcast, a podcast about playing Draft and Sealed. He's now started a Constructed Resources podcast. I apologize, I can't remember his co-host name on that. But when listening to them talk about constructed resources, limited resources, pardon me, when I would listen to Luis Scott Vargas talk about limited resources and how they really are aware of every card in a set. So I understand that I'm probably a nub and that all of you really great Magic players do this inherently, but showing up to pre-release and knowing every goddamn trick and their costs and their casting timing restrictions, like which ones are sorceries and which ones are instants.
Yeah.
And looking across at your opponent's mana that's up and being like, okay, well, he's got a red and a white up. These are the 4 tricks it can be. 2 of them are instant speed and 1 of them is a rare. I can play around the uncommon.
Man, that's so good. Like, and it's that level of thinking, and I think that's literally the next level thing, right? Like, if you are finding yourself struggling in tournaments like this, study the rules. And I don't mean like study them like, okay, I memorize them and I know them. Think about, and this is what I do all the time in just about any game I play. Figure out how to break them.
This is how Cooley plays life.
This is how Cooley plays life right here. Figure out how you can break them. And like read between the lines with the rules. Be like, what does that not say? Do you remember when Gifts Ungiven blew the hell up because some pro player was just like, I know how to abuse the rules on this card. I know how to
that
use
was due for that said you could play the land. I'm sorry. I got really excited. I didn't realize that was due for that said you could play the land off the top of the Oracle Messiah.
Giving credit where credit's due.
Exactly.
But
that's what I want to do. So, you were saying Gifts Ungiven.
Gifts Ungiven, dude. Like, this card blew up. If you guys remember, like, this was played in a tournament, and, like, I remember the first tournament I ever went to. Like, the judge specifically called out Gifts Ungiven because some pro player recently had done this. And it caught, like, literally judge calls and everything. People like, hey, he can't do this. He can't do this. But that's the next level thing, is, like, knowing the rules and how to bust them. So Gifts Ungiven says, search your library for 4 cards with different names. Put 2 of them into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. Or 2 of them of your opponent's choosing into your graveyard and the rest into your hand, right? Yeah. So here's the thing. Some pro player was like combining all of the knowledge he knew about protected zones, hidden zones, things that are public information and things that are not, and said, you don't have the right to verify my choices in my library because it is a hidden zone at all times. So unless a card says reveal my library, you do not have the ability to verify my findings in it. So this pro player said, I'm going to fail to find 2 of these cards and give you 2 options that are both going in my graveyard, and you have no choice on it. And sure enough, mind blown, judge calls, all of this stuff. And it's like, no, the library is a hidden zone, and he can fail to find. I'm sure you've all have heard that before. He can fail to find the other 2 cards with different names. You
so
don't
I'm just
have the right to
give you
verify.
2 cards. They're going in the yard.
Right. Exactly. And you have no right to verify that I actually didn't find more cards than that. Like, that's the type of stuff right there. Like, it's something that I use for an example to let you know that, like, being familiar with the rules, what they say and what they don't say, is just that next level stuff right there, man.
How a card can be broken.
How it can be broken. Always look at it for that, man. Like, always look at how a card can be broken.
So, anything to say about these historic decks? Now, obviously, there's very little monetary implications of these historic decks.
Yeah.
Like until such a time as historic crosses some line with vintage or legacy, or they bring historic to paper, which we've mentioned before has been posited by other content creators. I don't know that Sultai midrange is coming to a table near you, so it's probably not going to change the value of any of these cards.
Yeah.
But look at this greatest hits of Hydroid Krasis, Uro, Nissa Who Shakes the World. Then you get 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Aethergust, Disdainful Stroke, Eliminate, Maelstrom Pulse, Extinction Event, Languish.
It's a who's who of like the most recent best cards in Standard, like,
and 4 Thoughtseize.
And 4 Thoughtseize, exactly. I mean, it's nuts, man. Like, I like that they did a breakdown of the actual cost. You know what I mean? Of the real life cost of these cards. I think that's really cool. But the cool thing is that you can really afford to play this format on paper if we ever get back there in the near future for a pretty affordable price. I know, like, you might look at some of those prices and be like, between $300 and $600. That's nuts. Go look at a legacy deck. Go look at a modern deck.
Yeah, everything's relative.
Vintage. But, like, holy shit, man. Like, that's a pretty cheap price.
So, dude, for saying this is basically a Pioneer deck. I mean, yeah. What, you don't have Maelstrom Pulse in Pioneer, do you?
Do we? Do we have, yeah.
No, I'm trying to think of what that originally was printed in.
Yeah. But even if you don't, I mean, it's only a one of in this deck. I mean, it's like what he's saying is this list is very similar to Pioneer. Like
Alara Reborn, not in Pioneer.
No, but still, I mean, like, what he's saying is that's exactly right. Like, I mean, it's a Pioneer deck. It's the greatest hits of recent Standard. Like Uro is a busted card. In my opinion, Uro is the most busted card that hasn't been banned yet.
Jund Sacrifice came in second. Gabe Nassif.
Yeah.
What does this have in it that's not in Pioneer? Phyrexian Tower.
It used a companion too. Oh my god, that's cool.
That's it.
Wow, that's cool.
And
Yes.
Phyrexian Tower was bugged on Arena.
It was bugged? Tell me about this. I love bugs.
There you go. You can exploit this. So Phyrexian Tower, basically you don't get priority. It doesn't recognize that you can activate this at instant speed. So people would go to use a removal spell on your creature, and you didn't get a chance to respond by sacking it to this. If they went to exile it, you couldn't sack it with Tower.
Oh, wow. That's weird. That's a bad bug.
That's a bad bug.
That's
and
a really bad
they
one.
went into their biggest tournament with that as a known thing.
Oh, wow.
I can tell you, Hooglandia was like, listen here, chat. I wouldn't go be playing Phyrexian Tower in my deck, chat, if you're gonna be playing in WotC's biggest tournament right now online.
But could you
don't register a bugged card?
So could you, with this bug, to combat this bug, could you enable full control mode?
Yes, but I think in most arena tournaments they don't allow players to do that.
Ah, that sucks. That really sucks.
Yeah, they want to keep the pace of play up. So I think you can turn it on momentarily, but you can't know when somebody goes to cast that removal spell, it's too late.
Right.
If you don't have priority.
Because if it hits the stack and the game doesn't immediately recognize that you have a response, then it won't ask you if this is okay. It will just do it.
Third place deck, Rakdos Arcanist, Luis Salvato. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Obviously, I love this card. Yeah. Also had a companion.
My god, dude. Companion's still a thing.
Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. I'll tell you what, I keep saying it, and, the guys at the shop that know me don't get mad when I trade for these, but I think if Uro wasn't around, people would be flipping out over this card.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's still just a little over $20 by the look of the price. I just moved the mouse there a little bit so I can look at the price. But Kroxa is a little over $20 by the, or no, it's less than that. It's like a little over 15 by the looks of this. God, that's such a good price, dude. This card is Like, here it is. Remember, we were just saying, look at a card always for how it can be abused.
Yeah.
Like, look at it for its absolute abuse, right? It's a 6/6 for 2 mana that does something devastating when it comes into play. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you know what it does that's devastating when it comes into play? It gets sacrificed to village rights. So you draw a card, they discard a card, and they probably lose 3 life.
Andy with a great point. To be fair, Companion in these sacrifice decks is only there because the deck already fits the restriction, so it's free. But
Right.
yeah.
But that's like saying I could play Blood Crypts in my deck to splash Bolt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was free.
It was-
I mean, it worked in the strategy that I was going for. So
Right. Well, I mean, there's like, well, yeah, I mean, I would argue the Companion in this case is, even better because it's like there's literally no drawback. Like,
Young Peasy, cast Village Rights, get a Young Peasy token, sack it, draw 2 cards. Because so you have a legal target, even if you only had Young Pyromancer.
wow.
You get a token on the cast trigger.
God, that's so good. This guy didn't run Phyrexian Tower, though. What a mistake.
Tech 4 is going to tell me that that's not actually how it works either. Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Boy, that card saw a lot of play this week. If we go back to Jund Sacrifice, obviously Priest of the Forgotten Gods is on there. If there was ever a 2020 card, this is one of them. Of course he is. Thank you, Tech 4. I appreciate you. Is Young Pyro in Pioneer?
Is it? That's a good question, Doofer.
I thought so.
I'm Young Peasy. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't want to move on from Priest of the Forgotten Gods because this is a 2 mana 1/2 that says is part of the cost. God damn it.
Well, no,
So
but you could let it hit, though, right? And then you have priority?
No, what he's saying is you have to sacrifice it as you cast it.
Right.
Talking about village rights and Young Peasy.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yep.
So if you already happen to have a Young Peasy token out, it gets replaced.
Right.
God damn it. Let me read Priest of the Forgotten Gods, Andy. Sacrifice 2 other creatures. Any number of target players each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature. That would be an awesome 2 mana 1/2.
Yeah.
Any number of players loses 2 life and sacrifices a creature.
Right.
So if your 2 mana 1/2 could sacrifice 2 dopey creatures to edict all of your opponents, that would be worth the price of entry.
That would definitely be used in Commander for sure. Like there would be decks that alone, if this card said nothing else, would.
But
be
wait,
used in
there's
Commander.
more.
Oh man, tell me about it.
You
Card's
add
nasty.
2 black to your mana pool and draw a card.
It's a good trade-off, man.
I'm going to give up 2 creatures for 2 black mana and a card. If that was the card, sacrifice 2 creatures, draw a card, add 2 black to your mana pool.
Well, if you think about it this way, right? Think about the card value, like actual cards that you're losing and that you're gaining.
Yeah.
This card basically says, right? Sacrifice a creature.
2.
I know, but I'm thinking
Okay.
about it on the next level, right? Because
Okay.
you're getting a card back. You're not losing a card. So, like, yeah, you're sacrificing 2 creatures, but you're drawing a card, which can trip. So it means in the what is it, like net sum of this, you're losing 1 thing. Like, you know what I mean? So sacrifice a creature. Each opponent sacks a creature.
Yep.
And if you really take it to the next level, at that point, you're not losing anything. You know what I mean? And then you add 2 to your mana pool. You net positive on this from all of its abilities, which is what makes it so insane. Like, I think it scared a lot of people away with the sacrifice 2 other creatures at first, but you're netting positive with it, like which is rare for these sacrifice a creature effects. Like,
But when the creatures you're sacrificing are like Dreadhorde Butcher that deals its damage to any target, or Young Peasy tokens
or
in the
something
other
that
list.
you've claimed with your claim the firstborn, like you're
Oh,
sacrificing that, get out of town. Dude.
The other thing that is in Historic is also in Pioneer is Claim to Fame. You said it. It's another one of my all-time favorite cards, Claim to Fame.
Yeah.
Super cheap split card from Our Devastation. It's got Aftermath, so it has 1 effect that you can play from your hand. Claim the Firstborn is broken.
absolutely effing broken. Completely agree.
And it's in this list as well.
Yeah. So they're claiming a lot of shit in this deck here. Claim to Fame. So Claim to Fame has been used. I mean, this card was used in Modern and Legacy almost as soon as it was printed.
Yep.
Like, which again, we talk about this all the time. Like, if you want to know the true power level of a card, go look at the Eternal formats that it's used in right after it's printed. That people actually put up results experimenting with the card. You know what I mean? Like, this card is so good. For 1 mana, it's basically, this is basically not an Exhume, but a, what's the card that brings back a 3-drop from the grave? One? No, it's not new, but it's, you guys know what I'm talking about. Pop Quiz of the Day. It's a cycling card for 1 black mana. Return target creature with a converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to play. It's that card basically a little worse, but like that card basically with an aftermath effect. So you can play something again.
Gives target creature +2/+0 and haste until end of turn. So for 3 mana, you can bring back your Dreadhorde Arcanist that they killed on their turn 2, and on your turn 3, you can snap it back. Basically, you can claim it back to the battlefield, give it haste, give it +3/+0, and then attack. And because now your Dreadhorde Arcanist has 3 power, you're going to cast Bedevil on their goddamn Lithiform Engine.
Oh my god.
Now I have to check Bedevil and make sure that was the one that got artifacts. Because, I've already been wrong twice today.
God, it's so good, man. So good. Yeah, so I mean, this is
this is a high power format.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much efficiency. That's the thing. Like, the historic format is so efficient right now. It does pretty heavily rely on like enter the battlefield effects and such, but like even so, it's very efficient. Like enter and leave the battlefield effects, I should say. Like very, very efficient. Everything you do, every action you do will result in something else that you have to do. You know what I mean? And it just leads to this chain of mayhem that you just unleash on your opponents. It's just so cool, man. It really rewards
snowball advantage.
Yeah, snowball advantage, man. Good way to put it. And it really rewards those high-level players who know the rules and know priority and know the interactions at all times, man. Really rewards those players.
The last deck that I want to talk about from this historic event was I think this was technically the most played deck. As a matter of fact, if we just jump out and zoom out, looks like Sultai midrange might have been right up there.
Yeah, they need to ban Uro.
But mono red goblins, mono red goblins, mono red goblins. Mono black gift, that's the deck that I want to build on there. But let's talk about goblins. Again, Muxus, printed in Jumpstart. Not legal in Modern, not legal in Pioneer. Legal on Arena.
My boy Chain Whirler just showing up like, yeah, bitch. I take fields out, homie. God, this guy's so good. Conspicuous Snoop, of course he's in there as a 4 of.
Yep.
Busted card. Busted. They're really focusing on goblins these days, dude. Conspicuous Snoop. Conspicuous Snoop. Goddamn.
Nicely done, sir.
Hey,
I was letting you go.
I could tell. I could feel the angst in your silence. I was like, he's so pissed at something I just said, and I don't know what it is. But I had to dissect there for a moment.
The hate cards, the color hate cards are so good. People are not appreciating them. But when you know going into this tournament that so much of it is going to be Jund Sacrifice, Rakdos Sacrifice, Mono Red Goblins, having 3 or 4 Red Cap Melee in your board, a 1-mana answer to creatures or planeswalkers. And
Mayhem Devil. It's just 1 mana. Bam. Yep, no problem.
1 mana. Dead.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? You played what's
Liliana, Chandra.
Yeah, friggin'. I don't care.
Yep.
You know what? I'll sacrifice a land to kill your planeswalker.
Oh yeah, like if it's off color, if it's not, yeah.
If it's not red, it's worth the land to have a 1-mana answer.
Yeah, God, that's so good, man.
Hey, they played Phyrexian Tower.
Of course they did. That's cool. That's
so
really cool.
that I think it's just super cool that it's a high power format and a really great client. And they're promising that we're going to have it in mobile soon.
I mean, it would be so easy to convert. Like, it's one click. You're clicking everything. Get this on mobile. What are you guys waiting for?
It's true, actually. I've played Arena the last 2 nights to do my stupid quests. Play 20 red cards, play 20 black cards, or whatever. I just use a mouse. I start the client, and I sit in my recliner with a mouse in one hand and play the whole game with one mouse.
Yeah.
That's it. Click, 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 click. Why can't I do that with my finger?
It's probably the interface, because can you imagine shrinking an entire computer screen down to a mobile phone size screen?
Pinch zoom, bitches, pinch zoom.
I know, but who wants to do that for an entire game? I wouldn't. Like, that's a fair point. That's probably why they're not doing it. They're trying to figure out the best way to mix it in there. They can't even fix the PC version right now. You want it on your phone?
I want to play while I'm crapping. I want to play at work in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Don't tell my boss I said that.
Anyone who's grinded Mythic before knows that you can't even take a shit without losing rank in Mythic, okay? You need to be able to play on your phone. It's very important stuff.
Very important stuff.
Here's a tip and trick, though. If you want to play on your phone, I know a way you can do it. Okay, this is value to listening to the podcast right here.
I'm glad there was some.
Value in listening to the podcast. If you want to play Magic Arena on your phone, you can. And here's how to do it. Install the program on your computer. Get it working on your computer, right? And then download the best app that
Google has ever made.
That Google has really ever made. It's probably also the most invasive, but you should download it. Trust me, completely safe. It's called Google Remote Desktop. And you can download it on your phone, and you can literally control your desktop on your phone. So you can dial into it. Your desktop goes full screen, and you can use your finger to click all of this stuff. You can scroll over, play Magic Arena right there on your phone with Google Remote Desktop. So check it out, set it up. There's a workaround. There you go. You're welcome.
Remote access, exactly right. And Google will let you do it for free.
There you go. Kawa nailed it. Like, see, he's has a 6 to 10 second delay. So he beat me to the punch.
Yep.
I love the delay because now Kawa can't troll me as efficiently.
and you need all the help you can get.
You're damn right.
Last things that I think we probably should start wrapping this up. What do you think?
Absolutely, dude.
All right. It has been awesome to hang out with you guys. I do sort of want to... What is going on? My computer's freaking out.
That's all right, dude. We're going to deal with it.
Okay. Well, you say that. But let's make sure that the stream is still going.
Yeah, we're just lagging. We're just lagging. We got this.
Okay. We're lagging. We got this. We'll be back. We're alive. Okay. God damn it.
Dude, just go with it. You're live. It's just live. You're good. It's always going to be good.
I can also be frustrated live. People can see the real me.
Don't embarrass yourself like I did last week. Don't let it happen.
What happened last week?
Remember, I was like, oh, I'm not even going into it.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not even going into it. It's too embarrassing.
I just want to say, talking about lands and that sort of thing, just a flashback I want to point out to people. Go take a look at Growing Rights of Itlamok. We talked about it in our Substitutes episode a long time ago. That... Our frame rate just dropped to shit.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We're closing up. But the Birthrights of Itlamok, very, very, very good.
I'm going to smash my computer.
Do it live. If you do it live.
If you're going to do it
They'll
live.
catch
I can't
some
get the
snapshots
goddamn
right
mouse
here.
where I need it. It's Google, actually, that's throwing us off. I moved a...
Cow was comment. Frame it is like playing games on Apple. Funny you should mention that.
Yes, so we do produce this whole show on a Mac. All right, we got it live. We managed to close the Google Drive tab. But Growing Rights of Itlamok, that card is going up and up. If you don't have it, get your copy. It's not my Snap This Up because it really is a flashback. It's a card that we've talked about before, but it has probably doubled since we called it. If I had a This is one hell of a comedy show at the moment. Well, I'm glad you made it, Dalton. I do the whole podcast on an iPhone 5, boys. Well, we did our first 20-ish episodes on my iPhone 7, which is still the camera that we're using right now.
Yeah.
So
we did the first few on some dual microphone. We didn't even have these professional mics. It was this weird ass mic that like dual mic. It like pointed in two ways.
Just a handheld voice memo recorder,
we're
basically.
just going to set this up and start talking like we do at the shop. Nailed it.
Of course, I think our content was better then, but that's a different story.
I disagree, man. We're killing it now. I feel like I have fun every time we come here. I really do, man. Like just talking about this stuff, interacting with you guys is super fun. Like, oh my gosh, I feel so blessed in this life to be a part of yours and have you guys joining us every week, man. It's really cool.
Doing it live has been awfully fun. I really do enjoy the interactions. I do have a snap this up this week, though.
What is it?
Archmage's Charm from Modern Horizons.
Really?
Yeah. 1 blue, modal spell. Says take target player's Death Shadow, take target player's Walking Ballista, take target player's one drop or less, or counter a spell or draw 2 cards.
Damn.
It's pretty good.
That is pretty sick.
And even though we know Modern Horizon 2 is coming and they're going to have reprints. Blue. It's 3 blue. Never mind. That's a terrible card.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know what you're talking about. It actually was at a lower price, too. It is still used quite a bit, though. It's a really good counterspell, very efficient. It's used a lot in Modern. It was at $2 when it came out. And it went up to $5 for a while. What is it at now?
Right.
Just
so Walking Ballista, they will throw it at you, but you get it off the board. So in that opportunity, it's a removal spell.
Yep. Yeah. When you started talking, you said 1 in blue. I was like, wait, maybe it's not the card I was thinking of. But yeah, the Archmage's Charm. It's been used in Modern ever since its printing. Yeah, and it's gone down to $4. That's a pretty reasonable price. I was gonna say if it was over $5, I was gonna be like, no, don't do it. But
I don't think that this is going to get printed in Modern Horizons 2 because the regular copy is so cheap.
Yeah. Yep. And look at the foil, dude. Foil spiked right up back in May, June.
Yeah.
Like people are loving that card. And it's on its way down, which is interesting.
Well,
like it's at a low comparatively.
Yeah, I think it's just one control is the flavor of the month. I miss astrolabes when you could cast blue spells
pretty efficiently.
Exactly.
Yeah, that could also explain the drop in price too, is the banning of astrolabe. Because if you think about it, those went hand in hand in a lot of decks. The Urza decks that were running this. Take your astrolabes and go home. Yup. God, that card is nuts.
Astrolabe banned in Modern July 13th.
Yep. Then when did this go down?
July.
Yeah. July was still pretty stable, but
so July 16th is here, and then it goes down. It took a couple of weeks, but it's been on a decline ever since.
That's a great question, too, from Kawa. Since you both have an interest in MTG finance, why do you think card prices spiked in May, June, July during the pandemic? I would assume
COVID bugs.
COVID bugs, yes. COVID is actually bugged.
No, COVID bucks.
COVID bucks. Oh, I see what you mean.
You know, some people call them Trump bucks.
Yep, Trump bucks, COVID bucks.
Trump gave everyone MTG money. Well, here's the thing, and a lot of other podcasts will talk about this. MTG is not a cheap hobby. It is not a hobby that people without what's the term for when you have money you can spend on shit that doesn't matter? Disposable income. But it's discretionary income. That's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
MTG is really a game for people with discretionary or disposable income.
Yep.
Most of those people probably have a career that was either still working or they did okay on unemployment.
Well, here's another thing to think about too, is that card prices did decline when COVID started becoming a thing. They did temporarily decline.
Well, right. So if we're talking about March, April, May, he's talking about June, July.
Yeah. Like, so I think in June, July, after the initial decline, I think people noticed, hey, this is a really good investment opportunity. Like, I should buy my cards now. You know what I mean? Because I know, much like you said, at any other time, I'm going to need this discretionary or disposable income. So I should probably buy them now. But then people also notice I can still play Commander with my friends. Like, we still have regular games, or we still, or even with Historic being a thing, with Historic sort of taking off more during this pandemic, I think people realize they saw the writing on the wall too. And they see, okay, I'm probably going to want to get these cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you have that, if you have your Trump bucks, or if you have whatever, and a card is like, $5, $10, even $30, and it has recently gone down, I think a lot of people start thinking like that.
Right. So he just mentioned people are aware of investments. You're absolutely right. And I think this is what you're getting at, is that we're gamers at heart. We're value oriented. We want to play cheaper spells with bigger effects. When you had some money coming in, or weren't hurting for money, and other people were out there selling their collections. I think one of the other impacts that a lot of people didn't take into account for why card prices started to go up in the midst of the pandemic, there are no GPs. Channel Fireball is not out every weekend buying cards. 9 to 5 MTG is not out every weekend in a different city scooping up the chaff from the bottom of the barrel for people that are selling cards at GPs.
Right.
People were scared to do buy list bulk ordering. So you couldn't necessarily mail in a stack of cards because somebody over there didn't want to sort your coughed on bullshit.
Well, I mean, and also another thing to kind of drive the point home is that if you look at reserved list cards, and I hate to bring it up, I hate to sing that song all the time, but those cards didn't go down much in price. And it's because the people that had them didn't need the money. They were keen on investments. They were like, this was an investment, and I understand, based on everything that's going on, card prices are going to drop. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to hold on to them. If you want mine, you're going to pay what they were worth before this, because I know I can recognize the investment. So I think that probably explains this price spike, is that more players are, have this casual interest in investing
in MTG finance.
In
more
MTG
people
finance
should be listening to this podcast.
Exactly.
Geez, it only took us like an hour, but we finally got to something really interesting. that mail-in nonsense where you don't even have to list them anymore, right? Yeah. You don't have to sort them.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that because they're struggling to get product.
Yeah.
One of the podcasts that I listen to that I would say is not for people with casual finance interests is MTG Fast Finance. And one of the things that they talk about over and over is that the reason why Magic is so expensive is because assholes like me have boxes and boxes and boxes of cards that they don't play. If I sent all of these cards to Channel Fireball or to my local game store and they were to sell them off, and we all did that, and literally took the cards that we don't play and put them in the hands of people that that either want to sell them or want to play them, the card prices would go down.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem is there's so many copies of cards that are just sitting in people's boxes, in their closets, in their bedrooms, in their basements, that the price goes up because they literally can't get them to sell.
Yeah.
So if you want card prices to go down, sell your friggin' cards.
There you go.
You have been listening to the Snapcast podcast. My name is Brad O'Brien, and I am so fortunate to be joined every week by my good friend Mike Cooley, where we can talk with you guys and supply and demand. This has been awesome. I really do enjoy this every week, and
Absolutely.
It's even gotten
Me too,
more
man.
fun now that we've gone live. Mike, that was a brilliant idea.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate you.
One of the few he's ever had.
You have good ones every once in a while, too. Thank you guys so much. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We will catch you next week.
Spread the podcast.
And not the blade.